The bank manager sneered, tossing the elderly black man's ID onto the floor like trash, thinking he was nobody. 10 minutes later, his daughter, one of the most powerful CEOs in America, walked in. She canceled the $5 billion deal their bank was about to close. And just like that, everything crumbled. What happens next? Let's start the story. It was just after 11 a.m. on a Tuesday when Harold Freeman walked into the flagship branch of Rockfield Bank in downtown Chicago. His hand steady, but his back slightly hunched from age and wisdom, dressed in slacks too neat to ignore, with a leather folder under one arm and a soft but assured look in his eyes. A retired school principal, now in his late 70s, quiet in manner but rich in dignity. He was there to complete a simple ID verification form, something his daughter had requested as part of a due diligence process related to a massive corporate merger involving her holding company and the international division of Rockfield Bank. The deal, a $5 billion consolidation of green energy assets across North America and Europe, had taken nearly 2 years to prepare. Rockfield executives were flying in from London and Zurich for the final signature. All that remained was this small formality, Harold's signature, to verify shared ownership of a small family trust linked to Freeman Holdings, a technical step, but a required one. When Harold walked to the counter and politely asked for assistance, he was intercepted by Brian Callahan, the branch's senior manager, a man in his mid-40s with slick-back hair, an expensive suit, and an expression that barely concealed his disdain. He scanned Harold briefly and, seeing no Armani, no obvious wealth, and no urgency, sighed dramatically before asking, "Sir, are you sure you're in the right place? This isn't check cashing. We handle private accounts and corporate portfolios." Harold smiled with patience. "Yes, I'm here on behalf of my daughter's firm. She said someone would be expecting me. Just a verification." Callahan narrowed his eyes, glanced at the name on the form, Harold Freeman. Something about it rang a bell, but he couldn't place it. He was too distracted by the fact that this man didn't match the profile he assumed came with billion-dollar business dealings. "Let me see your ID," he said flatly. Harold handed it over, calm as ever. Callahan took it, looked at it, and then, with casual disrespect and without a word, flicked it back toward him. It hit the marble floor and slid to Harold's feet. The entire lobby paused. "That won't be necessary," Callahan said, turning away. "There's no record here matching your information. Maybe try one of our community branches, sir." His tone was icy, dismissive, steeped in something far older than just impatience. Harold slowly picked up his ID, his hand trembling not from age, but from fury carefully leashed. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't make a scene. He simply stepped back and made a call. "Layla," he said into his phone. "I just left the bank. Something happened." Less than 10 minutes later, the lobby doors opened again, but this time, the woman who entered didn't carry hesitation. Layla Freeman, CEO of Freeman Holdings and one of Forbes' 10 most powerful businesswomen in the world, strode through the doors in a navy pantsuit that whispered quiet authority. Every head turned. Employees scrambled to attention. Even Callahan looked up, but only realized who she was when she said, cold and direct, "I'm looking for a Mr. Brian Callahan." "That's me," he said, straightening, offering a rehearsed smile. "Welcome to—" "Save it," she snapped, her tone sharp enough to draw blood. "You threw my father's identification on the floor." He froze. "Your father?" "Yes," she said. "The man you dismissed without checking the system. The man whose name is listed on the trust tied to the Freeman-Rockfield merger you're about to finalize. That signature was the last piece your legal department was waiting on. That signature will never come." "Ma'am, please, there's been a misunderstanding." "No," she said. "There's been perfect clarity. I needed to know what kind of institution we were about to link our legacy to. You've answered that. My team is en route to Morgan Caldwell Bank as we speak. We've redirected the full merger. You're out. Permanently." Gasps rippled across the floor. 2 regional executives standing near the elevators turned pale, exchanging horrified glances. Callahan stammered, "Miss Freeman, Layla, please, let's talk privately. I had no idea." "You didn't care," she said, eyes burning. and that makes you unfit to manage anyone's future, let alone my family's name." She turned to her father, who stood nearby, calm but visibly shaken. "You okay, Daddy?" He nodded once. "I'm proud of you, sweetheart." "Let's go," she said. As they walked out, silence fell like a curtain. The moment they exited, chaos erupted behind them. Callahan was pulled into a conference room. The regional VP called the CEO of Rockfield U.S. Operations. A lawyer from Zurich went into damage control, but it was too late. Within hours, headlines spread like wildfire. Freeman Holdings pulls $5 billion deal after racist incident at bank. The Freeman Holdings media team released a brief but unflinching statement. Freeman Holdings will not associate with institutions that disrespect the dignity of our family or community at any level. The deal is void. Social media exploded with hashtags like #RespectIsNonnegotiable and #Freeman walked away. Callahan was fired within 24 hours, but the damage was already done. Rockfield Bank's stock dipped sharply. Other corporate partners began reviewing their contracts. It wasn't just about bad press, it was about exposure. If someone as powerful as Layla Freeman could be disrespected through her own father, what did that say about how average clients were treated? The industry reeled. And yet, Layla didn't stop there. 1 week later, she launched the Freeman Trust Initiative, a $500 million venture fund that empowered minority-owned community banks, fintech startups, and ethical investment platforms to rise as alternatives to the very system that had failed her father. In a fiery keynote that went viral, she said, "The problem isn't that one man threw my father's idea on the floor. The problem is that too many systems were built on the assumption that men like him don't belong. So we're not asking for a seat at that table anymore. We're building our own." The applause from that speech echoed far beyond the ballroom. It echoed across boardrooms, campuses, and communities. Bank execs who once dismissed inclusivity as a PR issue now scrambled to overhaul their practices. But for Harold Freeman, none of that mattered as much as what happened later that evening. His daughter sat with him in his small sunroom, overlooking the garden he loved, sipping tea as the sun set. "You didn't have to come down there," he said. "You're running a global company." "I didn't come as a CEO," she said softly. "I came as your daughter, and you've taught me my whole life not to let disrespect sit quietly." He smiled. "Then you've learned well." "I learned from the best," she said. In that moment, the billion-dollar loss meant nothing compared to the dignity restored, because sometimes the most powerful deal you can make is the one you walk away from.